It's Wednesday morning. You know what that means.
Cut.
It's Wednesday morning. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Mustard Seed Podcast. Thank you for sticking with us and joining us on our new rebirth and journey of this.
Here we are. We're recording in it feels like a new studio. We're in the same place, but now we have all the gadgets and gizmos.
Yeah, and the mics actually
work. So here we are. This is a new turning point for us.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be able to just like hang out and talk now. Like this is more of an open format where we can just kind of go into it.
Yeah.
Have some conversations. Really,
we can still touch on what needs to be touched on and still just you can learn to get to know us a little better.
Exactly. So this was kind of always I think the goal for us was to try and get to this sort of format, but not necessarily knowing how. Thankfully, we have some great friends with us to help us out. So Josh has been helping us out now, and we're going to be able to record in this podcast format and really kind of run with it. So
yeah,
it's exciting. So
it is.
So today we're going to talk about David and Goliath, which I think is a cool topic.
Mm-hmm. But I got a lot to say.
Yes.
About David and Mr. Goliath.
Maybe we'll put some hot takes out there.
Yeah. Should have used his talents for something better than war.
Maybe
Mr.
basketball.
Goliath.
Yeah.
Imagine that reach. But
before we get into that, I think
how was your week? What different challenges did you come across this week?
So I think before we talk about my week, I think you had a pretty more important week than my week.
I had a very busy week.
And you announced
we are
great
expecting a new baby boy.
Yes.
Any names, leave it in the comments. We need names.
Exactly. I think so I'll admit, for this whole time leading up to this point, I really did think you guys were having a girl.
Yeah, Ryan always said every time he came over, "Oh, you're having a girl." It's a girl because Jessica, my wife, is very nauseous. So it's the old wives' tale that is you're having a girl, but we're having a boy. Actually, you see those videos where all of a sudden, like, you think you're having the you're having the boy, and then the girl comes out, and you have the blue room, and it's like, well,
what?
You never saw that on TikTok? It's hilarious. It's like mainly it happens with boys. Like, they think they're having a boy, and then the next thing you know, the baby has a bow on her head.
What?
It's a girl.
So how does that happen? That means the doctor made the wrong...
I guess so.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's still a chance...
I hope that doesn't happen. Because we already, have all the boy clothes.
Exactly. Well, that's got to be awesome, too, to a little sense of relief. For all the hand-me-downs. You got all your clothes already. Yeah.
Logan's excited. He... in the beginning, he kept saying baby sister, probably because, maybe thinking of Abby and Lily and stuff.
Sure.
But, now he's like, if he has a stomach ache, he's like, the baby. Making fun of my wife. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
He's like, oh, the baby, I have to go to the doctor.
Jeez. That's so funny, the things they pick up.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I really did think it was a girl. But... Now we are now following our cousin.
I was just gonna say that we have this interesting. My wife has this interesting theory of how me and Ryan are cousins, and we're very close, brothers and sisters, all of us, and the way that our children have been being born is the same gender as of what we are being born. So we're almost caught up. It's just waiting on Emily having a boy.
Yes.
In June, we'll find out.
So right now it goes, right? You're the oldest.
Yeah, me.
So you're a boy, which Logan is the oldest baby.
Uh-huh.
And then
Abby
and Emily. And then Lauren and Lily.
Mm-hmm.
Then me matches up with Elliot, my son. And then now it would be James and Jonathan is next in line. So we know you have a boy in September, which would be Jonathan.
Yep.
So we need to close the gap here. We're going to need Emily to have a boy.
Yeah.
Yes. And we'll find that out very soon.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Yes, exactly. When this podcast
we'll let you know
released.
if this voodoo is still going on.
Exactly. So really exciting for us. It's still surreal to me that we are in like baby time. Like for us to always just have been hanging out, kind of doing our thing. Now it's like we're all about the babies. Like all of our family parties and all of our
Yeah,
hangouts
and
are babies.
what we went on a trip with, we traveled with them and went to Woodlock, and
Yes.
that was very fun. Like getting to know all the different personalities and just like seeing them interact. I think they're finally like Logan and Abby are finally interacting, so it's like kind of cool.
Yeah, it is
And like
fun.
eventually it happens, but like like kids themselves now from like 1 to like maybe 3 kind of want to be on their own and not really, they won't, like Logan wants me full on like, come play with me, come over here, do this, like pretend this, but with other kids, like he gravitates towards older kids, which is what me and my wife have noticed.
Yeah, which is, I guess that's always just who you're around, and if it's like, well, you and Logan and Emily, Logan and Abby were both quarantine babies.
Yeah.
Right. So if you think about it that way too, you guys were always just kind of not really interacting with other babies.
So I have having the quarantine baby, and now I'm gonna have a baby with a formula shortage. So I don't know what's going on.
You're really going through it. If you can survive this, you can do it all. That's it. So that's really exciting. And now we'll keep track. Hopefully we can say that this order has been in line like we've predicted. So we'll see. But really cool. So I don't know if there's anything that happened in my week that is as exciting as that. But
Well, I found like this week has been very stressful, and I don't know why. It's just like everyone was on something this week where it's like everyone's a little short with each other, like this has to get done, what's going on, and then like the next day they're all like, hey, how are you, and then the next day they're like back to a bunch of like bipolar, like, all right, let's just figure it out, let's slowly go into it.
this is like what you're dealing with at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling those ups and
Even
downs.
just people in the gas station.
Really?
I was getting gas the other day, and I went in because I went to buy coffee, and this guy comes in and he starts yelling at the poor pump guy, and he's like this close to me, and he's just yelling about that every time I come to this gas station, your pump doesn't work. It's not using my card. And then the guy's yelling back, and I'm just trying to buy my coffee and go. And he started like yelling, like getting really nasty. And I was like, he's like, every day. And he ended it with, every time I come here, your pump doesn't work. I was like, go to another gas station. And I went outside.
There are more gas stations than just this one.
And everyone's uptight too with gas. It's all
Crazy. It cost me $50 to fill up my tank this week. It's the first time I've ever spent $50 to fill up my car. It's a Honda Civic. That should not be $50, but here we are. Exactly, right? I mean, hey, we're dealing with some challenging times, I feel. So
and
no better time now than to fully embrace our faith and to start to live differently, right? That's so we had our little mustard seed meeting last night at the great establishment of Chili's. Welcome to Chili's. Yeah, we could have that. That's our Chili's will always hold a little special place in our heart now. So that was our
I
first
called
one.
you Hun, like the waiter.
The waiter. Oh my gosh. She was funny. She
Yeah.
loved to say that. Loves, Huns, Toots, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
She made us feel loved. It was very nice. But we were talking about, messages and things that we were trying to kind of talk about more when we're here on the podcast. And we kind of kept coming back to that idea of like living and what that means and how what is evangelizing today, and how do you kind of spread the word when we're reading the scriptures, and it's like, what is going to be the most message that will resonate the most, right? And that whole idea was like how we live. And it's like that simple hello, that simple smile, or, just living
Helping
in
someone
love
out,
is what can really like resonate with people these days. And like, I think that's going to be a goal for us as we talk through different things and topics. And it's always going to be, I feel like, an important stress for us to realize, like, how can we learn from this and then incorporate it into our daily, like, just lives of living. Like, I one of the lines from scripture, like, God is not of the dead, but of the living, right? Like, it's the way we live and it's the way we go out and do our daily lives that can really be the most impactful for us. And then I kind of was trying to keep that in my head this week. So I realized, like, when I started my week this week, like Monday morning came, and my Mondays are the best because I'm home. I don't go to work. I have my paternity days still, so I get to spend
You
a
really
nice.
got that going.
Oh, it's the
I gotta
best.
learn from you.
Like
See if I can stay home.
Sunday scaries are non-existent. It's the coolest thing, and by the time you get into your week already, like Monday, I do enough with my work that I don't feel like I'm overwhelmed with Tuesday. So like my Sunday scaries are gone, which is awesome. So, but with that, I woke up on Monday morning and I just knew there were a lot of things that needed to get done this week, work wise and even just life wise, because I knew we had so many different things going on. And it was like that feeling of overwhelmedness. I was feeling overwhelmed, and I realized that I needed to take a step away, and how like at first I wasn't going to, because I was like, I have so many things that I need to do. But I put Elliot down, he went for a nap, and I was like, wait a second, like I have some quiet time for myself right now. So I took 20 minutes to not do anything and to just put on the Bible in a Year podcast and to kind of let it just like sit with me for a little bit. And
As you played Fortnite, right?
yeah, right. I was
Bible
doing
in a Year, Fortnite. No,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
okay. No, but it was really like, let's focus on some quiet time. And that's hard to do when you feel overwhelmed, because it's like I have so many things that I need to do. I don't have time to dedicate to prayer.
I feel like it's a good point, like how you need that time to be with yourself, and you like to listen to the Bible or Bible in a Year and just like stories. Like me, it's either I do like to just put on, let's say I'm like really like feeling overwhelmed, I will just put on like Christian music and just like kind of mellow out, or a good show.
Yeah.
Always helps me.
Well, that's what I've realized, like how important those moments are. And it's like, you know, use that time to kind of focus on your faith in a way, because that's what will, it's, we talked about it in previous episodes, like with church. It's like what you get at Sunday Mass is supposed to kind of get you through your week. Like use that as like your strength to really go through your week. And, but that's also important on every day, like to start your mornings. There was a routine when we were doing Exodus where I was waking up early enough to spend, 20 minutes in prayer before I started my day. It's a little harder nowadays when you're up at night with the babies or different things that you have going on. But I realize, though, how important it is to at least try my best to find some sort of time, whether it's like a quick reflection or even if it's like instrumental music. The Hallow app, Hallow app,
Hello.
it has just like these really cool like instrumental prayer lists. And like just putting that on and kind of like centering myself a little bit.
They have a
just,
lot
like,
of very interesting things, a lot of good people on there.
Yeah.
Just spreading
it's
like
all
where you can find different like avenues to go about with
exactly.
your faith.
Good old Mark Wahlberg is on there nowadays.
Yeah, he's
Still.
been really I want to see that movie.
Yeah.
He's been pushing a lot of his faith a lot, and like I always knew he was. I guess it seems like after his mom passed away, he really dove into his faith.
And went a little further.
Went a
right?
little further, because like you always knew like he was religious and how he went about it and everything, but like recently he got his tattoos removed and like full on like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he met with the Pope, I think.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
And he's doing a little bit of a tour, kind of
Yeah.
going around and talking about the movie Father Stew. And I think something like that is so meaningful for just people to see, for someone who's lived a life that, people really look up to, and to hear him talk about his faith.
And how many times have we said it? It shows like a lot of people, like you don't have, like people look at Catholics as like, straight.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can live your life and still worship God.
Mm-hmm.
And like that is one point that we really want to, get out there.
Yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg is a good example of it. I mean, he's living probably a great life.
Yeah. But he understands now like what's important and where he puts
his kids involved.
Mm-hmm.
And
it is cool. It's inspiring, and it's people can relate to it because it's
even the movie he's just doing with Father Stu is like the guy was, I guess, a drunk and all that. I didn't see the movie, but just from the preview and reading like some articles on it, is like how you can change your life, and just like he did a total 360 of what he was, and this was before he was diagnosed, I guess, with his sickness.
Yes, right? And exactly. It shows you that no matter what, through your brokenness or feeling like I'm not worthy or I can't do this, like, no, that's not the case. Like, God is always there. He's always waiting for you and, hoping he's never gone. He's always with you. It's just a matter of you turning and kind of picking that up. And I've realized too, like, to kind of build on that a little bit more, like, when you're going through daily life, like how easy it is to tune out like our faith or just to tune out those routines that I've created or just to say like, okay, like this doesn't fit me right now, right? Like to step away and to have listened to like just to step away and to go into prayer for a little bit. Like it's easy to tune that out. It's almost easier to tune it out than it is to say I'm going to pray.
It's like you forgot about the sauce in the back burner.
Okay.
You need the sauce for the pasta
There you go.
to keep,
Very Italian of you
Very
to
Italian.
say that. But yeah, but it's true. Like, and that's just a
you
normal.
push it to the back.
Exactly. And you
like,
say,
oh,
like-
it will be there.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden you forget that it's there and you realize how important the sauce is in the meal. I don't want to have
burnt
pasta and
sauce.
meatballs without sauce. So we need that sauce. So if you can kind of accept that and it's a challenge, right? It's not like it's something that just comes naturally. Like it's always a work in progress. But I realize though, every time I do step away and say like, okay, I'm going to have some prayer time, it does really rejuvenate me and get me going for the rest of the week.
So like every morning, I have a long drive to work, and every morning I just drive in silence and just do my prayers, and it helps me get through my day. It's such a just like people use their morning drives as different things, but like that's what I learned to love to use my morning drives for.
Yeah.
And no
like-
one else except for the crazies
On the
and
road.
the potholes.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Driving here, it gets worse and worse. The LIE is so bad.
Yeah, my friend Andre is a cop, and he sent us this meme of on Long Island, if you're driving like this, going through, avoid the potholes, sober. If you're driving straight, drunk driver.
Just hitting all the potholes. That's how you know. It really is bad. I feel like my tire is going to pop every
Yeah.
time. I actually watched someone's tire pop this week.
Oh, every day I go to work, but like I leave so early. I leave at like 4 a.m. to get to work. So like I know kind of where all the potholes are, but
You could do it in your sleep. You're just
Yeah.
kind of riding through it. Yeah, my goodness. But so what were we saying before we talked about the road? But what were we saying before we started talking about the road?
don't know.
Don't know. Well,
Josh, what were we saying? Do you know?
well, don't cut that. We're just gonna ride through it. Driving through.
Faith on the back burner.
Yes,
Oh,
faith
yeah.
on the back burner. Put the sauce in the back, and remember your morning drive, morning commute.
Oh, that
and
is
where
my
is your-
main source of prayer. Like
Yes.
I find myself at peace when I am able to do my morning prayer, do some reflecting.
Yeah. And you know what? It takes time to kind of get to that point.
Yeah,
But I realized, like,
100%. I was never like, I feel like my prayers were just to just do. It was just like how like sometimes like church could just feel like a constant like repetitive.
And you're almost, like, getting
oh,
through it.
God bless mom, dad,
Yeah, yeah.
But now it's like you're talking and then not using God as Santa or a wish list where you're like, you're still like, you ask for the strength and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In that contents, not like using a lot of people do use Jesus and God as a wish list, like Bruce Almighty, how all of a sudden everyone won the lottery.
Yeah, he's like, yes to all.
Yeah.
Send. Yeah, you're right. I've realized, and when I've started to appreciate it as a time to kind of regroup and center myself, it helps me just go out and live a little bit more calmly and a little bit more with confidence. Because it's like, all right, like I'm not in control. That's where I'm trying to do my best with my prayers, to just like recenter myself and say like, okay, God, what is your will? And let me try and live that to the best of my abilities. So that idea of like taking some moments throughout my day to step back, just refresh, okay, and go. Because how easy it is to just get overwhelmed with little things that we do.
Yeah.
And it's like I look back and like it's not even worth it. Like, why am I getting worked up with all these things? Like, let's step back and live.
A great way to look at things. Like, think about how many times you have gotten so aggravated over a sports team,
Oh my
and
gosh,
like,
I know
does
that
it really
more than
matter?
anyone.
I mean,
yeah.
it matters, but
it does.
Just
if
think
Notre
about
Dame
that.
loses, that will affect my week big time. But you're right. Perspective.
yeah, well, I've been beaten down so much by the Mets, Islanders, now with the Giants. It's just like I'm just, I don't
become
have
numb
hope.
to the
Knicks,
Giants. Ugh, forget
so
about
it's
it.
just like totally. It used to affect my week so much.
Oh my goodness.
I was so upset when the Giants lost, and it's just like those things don't matter. But I mean, it's just like it's on this earth for us to enjoy, and that is one thing. Like that is very like
We spoke about that a little bit last
you're
night. Josh
supposed
made a good
to
point where we were like,
enjoy your life
Yes.
still while you're here.
it's not my end all be all. It's not the center of my universe, but it's something that
Yeah.
I'm enjoying and I'm living. And it's all about living. Just keep living. Matthew McConaughey, Livin.
As long as you don't let it affect your whole week, like it can affect you for an hour. You can take your jersey off, throw it.
said than done.
You can tell someone you're not cleaning no dishes.
No dishes, no nothing. Well, hopefully we can actually get back to some real Giants football this season. We'll see. Well, I'm hopeful.
I'm a little more on Daniel Jones because he's gonna have protection. I know I've hated on him for so long, but it's just like I'll give him a shot this year. But like I don't have the overall confidence.
Let it be known, we're putting it on the record. We are a pro Daniel Jones podcast. At least on this side of the microphone.
We'll see in September.
No, he is.
My new son will be born, and I'll still be very mad at that. That's why he's not being named Daniel.
Well, we'll go back into Daniel one day. so
Yeah,
we can-
sorry, Daniel, for getting thrown in the, great name.
Hey.
Thrown in the Lions Den, but not this Daniel.
Maybe this is our Daniel got thrown into the Lions. Then he got brought in with no offensive line, and they said go play football. So
And he threw a lot of picks.
he'll be all right. I'm all in on Daniel Jones this year. So, well, what do you think? You want to try and get into some of this David and Goliath conversation, which is
Yeah.
I feel like this is a good lead up to it because we're kind of talking about.
I definitely wanted to save this talk for this because, like, I just have a lot of interesting thoughts on it. Like, all right, so think about this. Like, when you are following a TV show and you think, I'm sorry to keep going back to, what is the word?
I think it's cool to be able to relate it to what
Yeah.
things that we live with, right? Like
But-
it's always put it into some context that can be relatable. So I go
So
for
think about this. The people followed Goliath, almost
The
looked
Philistines.
Philistines
Yep.
almost looked at him as a god in a way because he was this amazing warrior, 9 foot, 9 inches
it. Yeah,
or
9 foot
whatever
9
it was.
inches. A basketball hoop is 10 feet.
Yeah,
So,
so-
talk about being a
just-
havoc on the basketball court. Yeah.
The
this
wrong
big-
era he was born in.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't matter. The Knicks would have not drafted him. But think about this. Like, they followed him and they thought that they were right. And just you follow that person, you think they're right because that's they were born into. And David knew he had God on his side, but they knew like they had a God. Like we talked about this. Like they knew that they had God. Like at one point they had the Ark of the Covenant. Like throughout all these battles.
Yes.
But anyway, you're following this person. You see, like, you would think, oh, our God gave us this great warrior. That's probably what they're thinking. Look at him. He's huge. He's strong. He's all this stuff. And he's unbeatable. I mean, if, like, that was told, you were born into this, and this is who you were told, like, oh, this is your, savior.
Yeah, yeah.
You would believe it, too.
Sure. And that's
But it's just like, my point I'm trying to say is like, you have to figure it out for yourself. And I feel like even when spoiler, David took down Goliath.
Spoiler
I feel
alert.
like the Philistines realized at that moment, like
This guy's
had doubt and
powerful.
like,
What
oh,
they
this,
had,
yeah,
Israel.
exactly.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's sorry for my little rant on that.
Quick hot take.
You know,
Appreciate it.
but
The context of kind of where we're at with David
Yeah.
and Goliath. I mean,
So, so he was just a shepherd, which was a good job, but not looked at as like a great job. He was small, and he was one of the youngest brothers, I think. Of,
yep, he was the youngest.
How
of
many was there?
8.
8.
Yes, he was the
And
youngest.
they were all in war.
Yes, they went on to war, and David stayed home. He wasn't allowed to
He
go.
was, and you would think, listening to this, like, or watching this, that David, you know, being a shepherd is like nothing. It would be like he wasn't like prepared for war. So like it's very but he was prepared for war. God like prepared him for war because bears, lions were attacking the sheep and he was taking them out. So I mean, I'd be more scared of a bear than a man.
I would say
Right.
so. Although a 9'9" man does make me a little worried. I'd say that. But yeah, David, again,
Well, a grizzly's probably like,
that's true.
yeah, right?
What's
I mean, I
that
don't know what kind of
Leonardo
bears, but-
DiCaprio movie that
Yeah.
was? Yeah, there you go. But so talking about David and coming from humble beginnings,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's kind of a constant theme, and you see it play out. Now, David's from Bethlehem, and David is like Jesus comes from the line of David. So this is a really monumental moment in our, you know, faith story for David to kind of begin his little journey, and as we start to read about him, and as a shepherd, he had to defend his flock, and a lot of times, you know, bears or lions, you know,
Yeah, that's what it says. in the
yeah, would
Bible.
come and try and attack the sheep, and he had to, you know, protect the sheep and make sure that they were okay. And it's kind of funny because we realize as the story goes on, you know, he goes out to go battle Goliath, and Saul, who is the king at the time, questions him, and he's like, "You're a youth, you know, you can't go out and do this." And he's like, "No, I've been defending my sheep from lions and bears my whole life. Like, I'm ready.
He
Like, I can
also
do
wanted
this."
to see someone. No one wanted to fight Goliath, so he wanted to see like what would happen.
David did.
No,
Saul.
yeah, the
To
king.
send him out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why the main reason why he agreed. I think, from what I read,
yeah.
he like wanted to see someone fight Goliath because no, everyone was like, no, I'm not going out there.
So many different points, right? So that's where we'll start with David and
So okay, he's a shepherd, and his father, all his brothers are at war, and his father says, "Go bring them some lunch," which is so casual. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
like-
go to the war and bring your brothers some lunch.
yeah, he goes check in on them, bring back some money, you know, see how they're doing.
Yeah.
And I love how he goes up there, and an interesting idea, the fact that this battle is going on, and instead of, you know, a mass kind of collision of people battling each other, they decided, I'm going to send out my warrior, Goliath, and you guys send out one of your warriors, and whoever wins basically wins everyone. You know, if the Philistines said, if you guys defeat our warrior Goliath, like, we will be your servants. So an interesting concept, and here are the Israelites sitting there listening to Goliath basically challenge their God, challenge who they are, and the fact that they're all sitting there just scared, like, we can't do this. And David's like, hold on a second, guys, like, he is attacking our God, like, he is directly calling out our God, like, let's do something about this. And like, are you sure you want to do that? Do you see this, man? So
And
like,
you also have to, when he got there, his brothers are like, "You only want to see the war. You don't. Why are you here?"
yeah, exactly.
So
Classic older brother
Yeah.
situation. Father Mike Schmitz, when he was
get out of here.
giving his little explanation, that's just funny to point out. It's
Yeah.
like, but what did I do? He's like, I just said something. Like, I laughed about it because I thought about like the times when we were just like,
And when he got sent out there, when the king wanted to see what his brothers didn't stop him, they're like, yeah,
they're like, oh, you got this,
go
buddy.
ahead.
Yeah, but
Better you than me.
better than me, exactly. But here is David, who is saying, you know, we need to stand up.
Who
for
went
this.
out there with no armor because it didn't really fit him.
Yeah. So
And-
exactly. So David stands up for what he believes in, and I think that is
He knew he had the power of God on his side. And
sure. I think it's just a telling thing for us to think about too, and kind of like use this as a little internal reflection.
And the trash talking on both sides, where Goliath was like laughing when he came out, like, I'm gonna feed you to the crows, And then David's like, I'm gonna feed you to the crows.
A little back and
Yeah.
forth, like, yeah, exactly. This would make
The
for
confidence.
a very, oh yeah, going out there because he had the Lord on his side, and I think that is this little kind of part of the story, I think, can give us some key things to look at and to say, like, oh, okay, these are inspirations for us.
Also, did they not have bow and arrows? They couldn't take down Goliath
From a distance,
Yeah.
right? Like send it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, clever on David to have a
little rock.
stone to throw at him. Yeah, with his slingshot. But yeah, so to kind of put the story into kind of our lives a little bit. And I related to the fact that like all of these Israelites were sitting there scared of what was ahead. And I think about put it in even to the context of like this journey for us to create a podcast that is rooted in our Catholic faith. Like I have had moments where I felt like, I don't know if I can do this, right? Like feeling a little hesitation to it. Just like the Israelites are standing there and they knew, hey, we need, like, God is almighty and God has brought us to this point. Like we need to defend him, but they were scared. Like how many times are we scared of what challenges lie ahead? Like talking about Monday, like my Monday, I was sitting there and I'm like, I have so many things ahead of me this week. Like I can't do this. But to step back and to say, okay, Lord, like I'm offering these challenges, these texts to you, and you know, let it play out as it will. And like there's David who walks in, he's like, guys, like what are we to be afraid of?
Yeah,
like we have the Lord on our side.
A teenager, I guess, right?
Yeah, very wise to understand that. And I like how he goes up to Saul and Saul says, who are you? You know, you're just a youth. You know, you can't go out there and do this. And how many times are we doubted, right? Doubted as what we can do. And to think about, like, this is why I feel like David and Goliath is such a fitting story for us to talk about today, because I think humbly we can say, who are we? Who are we to sit here and to talk about, you know, God and our faith? But at the end of the day, it's no, we are God's loved beloved, right? He loves each and every one of us. So we're all called to do this and to be able to stand confidently and speak our words and speak God's words as best as we can. And this is David, who is a perfect example of that. So he goes out, he says, all right, I'm ready. I'm going to go take out Goliath. And I like how Saul gives him his armor. And Saul was identified as someone who was already taller than everyone. They said in the Bible he was head and shoulders above the rest. So he's a tall guy too. He's not 9'9", but he's tall. So he gives David his armor, and David's standing there with his armor, and he's like, I can't wear this. Like, this doesn't fit me. You know, and it's like, okay, is this a relation to us to think about, like, what do we do something that's not us? Like, when we try and be someone who we're not, or we're trying to conform ourselves to the people that are around us because that's what's done. But David said, no, I know who I am. And I know who I am because I have the Lord behind me. And I feel like that's so powerful for us to really, like, embrace, at least through the story. That's what stood out to me, to think about saying, I don't need this. I know who I am because I have the Lord God who is with me, and he is going to give me strength. And then, like you said, when he went out to go talk to Goliath, Goliath is like yelling at him. Like, yeah, I'm going to go feed you.
He took it as an insult. Like, you're sending this pipsqueak to fight me, Goliath. How many people have I taken down? How many wars have I won for my people?
Yeah.
And that's like the point that I was trying to make of, like, when you have someone like who looks so, it could be the undefeated Patriots and how the Giants, which one is that? That one. We took down Brady.
Shout out Eli. Yes. Yeah. 100%, man. You going in there.
That's David and Goliath. And how many times is that referenced? Like, this story in the world.
Yeah, David and Goliath.
It's like
is such
almost
a
like
phrase.
Referenced so much that it's not even like recognized as a religious story. It's just like, you know, a Paul Bunyan type story.
Sure.
But it is. And joke's on them. It's out there, and it's in the Bible, and it's out there in people's ears, and everyone, I bet you everyone knows this story.
Of course, right? Whether you understand it in the context of our Bible stories or not, right? There is a connection to it. Not to get too off topic, but I think that does show us kind of the state of where we're at in life. I see it that a lot of things have kind of just been saturated in a way, where like, let's look at our faith and realize that there is something so great about it. Like, let's elevate it again and talk about it in a way that, like, this is our faith story. This is our journey, and these are God's words, you know, to us. So yeah, so David is getting he's hearing a little back and forth from Goliath. And I love what David says back to him, because this sums up a lot of what, we were just talking about, where he said, you come against me with a sword and a spear and a javelin, right? So you come against me with earthly things, with dangerous weapons. And he said, but I come against you in the name of the Lord, like God of the armies of Israel, who you have defiled. Like, the Lord will deliver you into my hands. Like, what a freeing thing to think about. Like, that's how we should attack all of our challenges. Like, you come against me with...
Next meeting, I'm coming in with the slingshot.
Slingshot, exactly. I got some 5 stones with me here. Careful what you say. But exactly, it's the idea that why should we be afraid when we have the Lord who is giving us our strength? And I think for us to really fully embrace that, it goes back to what we were talking about as we started this episode, that prayer time, and that silent time where you can find your strength in the Lord. And it's important to do those things to prepare you for the challenges ahead. It's important to run head on and take on the lions and the bears, so that when Goliath comes, you're ready to go. So there are so many parallels to that I get inspired by when we read these stories.
And it's the classic underdog story. Mm-hmm. And that's probably why it gets referenced so much.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't love an underdog? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who doesn't love the Giants taking out the Patriots when they're 18-0? That's for sure. Well, yeah, 18-0. But yep. As we're going through this part 2, one of the other things I wanted to kind of key out to mention was that as the Philistine moved closer to attack him, so Goliath comes in to attack, it says David ran quickly towards the battle line to meet him. Like, he ran after him.
He was ready to go.
He was ready to go. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
and no one was behind him. No one was
there. It was just him and the Lord, right? And that's all he needed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all he needed. But I think about when so now, like, put our timeline together. It's now May 2022, and we started our first episode in May 2021. So it's been a year. But before that, we've had so many conversations. Like, the 3 of us have just at different moments about, hey, let's create something. Like, we have this vision or this idea of, building something that is rooted in our faith. And I did not run to the battle line at all when we started talking. Like, we had these ideas, and it was, sometimes I hesitated about it, because it was like, well, what's popular, or what's going to be comfortable? And that's, I think, a challenge for us to say, like, well, it doesn't always have to be comfortable. It's not always going to be easy, but if God is with you, and if this is something that you feel in your heart that God is telling you, like, run to that battle line, run after it and go there with God, because he has your strength. Like, your strength is from him. So feel very inspired by listening to David and to hear this story again. So do we need to now become very, I think we got to practice our slingshots. Mm-hmm. That's pretty impressive for him to be able to hit that on one shot too. Sunk it right into his forehead, and down he goes. And then it says he cut his head off with his sword. So imagine the size of that head, a 9'9" man, and just pretty good.
Yeah, I guess. What can we compare to Andre the Giant?
Andre the Giant. Ooh, that's a good. How tall was Andre the Giant? Do we know? Probably not, but I would say, well, Yao Ming is in the 7 feet range.
Yeah, probably like 7, maybe 8 feet. Andre weighed like 600 pounds, maybe.
Wow. So the story says that his armor weighed 125 pounds. So he's 9'9" with armor
David
that weighs 125 pounds.
Honestly.
Yeah, my goodness, right? David is just a youth. So yeah, but really inspiring for us to really to let David.
So let's picture like someone like, no, Brendan's too tall. Like, I don't know what. 11-year-old, a normal size 11-year-old.
I don't know. This guy's
100 pounds, maybe.
I feel like we were talking about it before when we were saying, if David was wrestling bears and lions, he can't be the smallest guy. He's got to be able to handle it to a point. So, yeah, I love that. So, what do you think? You got any other hot takes on David and Goliath as we go through this? So, actually, I have a funny story. So, when earlier this week, I went outside. Ronnie was putting Elliot to sleep, and I wanted to listen to the story again. And I went and sat outside on the front porch of the apartment. And as I was listening to the reading of this, someone walked by. She was going for a walk and she had a garbage bag in her hand and like one of those clamp things, like a picker upper. And she was walking and picking up garbage as she was walking. And at first I was like, oh no, here's a crazy lady. Like, what's going on? But then I was watching her and I was like, wait a second, like she's picking up garbage. And as she was on her walk, she was picking up pieces of garbage that she was going through. And I was like, wow, like that's a really cool thing. And she gave me a little wave. At first I was like, don't look at me, like you're crazy. But I was like, why did I feel that right away? You know, like I guess that's just kind of where we're at, where like my first reaction when I see someone walking by is like, don't interact with them. I was like, damn, like I wish I didn't feel that. But then I was watching her and she was just picking everything up and smiling. And I thought to myself, like, first of all, what podcast does she listen to that told her to do that? Because I don't know if you wake up and say, I'm just going to go pick up garbage. But that feels like a self-help type of thing to go out there. But I was like, wow, that's really great. And how isn't that lost for us to think about like our community in a way? Like, I don't know if I would ever think like, oh, I'm going to go pick up the garbage because I want to make sure that like our community is clean. You know, I always see garbage all the time, but I'm like, someone's going to have to pick that up, but it's not me. Like, and there she was walking, cleaning up the garbage. So now I'm kind of like, maybe next time I go for a walk, we should bring a garbage bag and just pick up garbage. But like, I feel like that is lost in a way. When we talk about, you know, living in faith, I realize too how important it is to look about like what's around you. Sometimes it's easy to think so far ahead of just like, okay, I want to do this X, Y, and Z, and it's like going to change the world. But changing the world starts here and starts right in front of you. And like that gesture, that lady walking around and picking up garbage, like she changed the world in a very small way. And I think that that's pretty cool. It's kind of neat. I was taken aback by that. It really like it struck me. So
it's you can find God in any place, any creature. Like I have a little story. I'll make it fast. One time, like years and years ago, I was like really down. I was in between, like trying to figure out what job to do. I was religious, but I feel like we were like going through the motion, just going to church, you know, like that feeling where you're just going, but you're not like there, you're not present. You're just thinking of other things. Yeah. So I went to Lake Ronkonkoma, and I was by myself, and I was just staring at the. I just wanted to sit and just look at the lake. And I'm being chased by this goose. I moved, and this goose follows me.
Goose are scary.
So I kept getting honked at by this goose, and I'm moving, and I'm like thinking I have to do, like my mindset of being there was like I was alone, and I wasn't like, you know, I was like feeling like alone, and I saw this male duck alone swimming. The goose shifted towards that duck. It was going after the duck. Then all of a sudden a white swan came down and shooed the goose away. And I look and I see the duck swimming away with the female duck. And I don't know where that female duck came from. And the white swan was like trailing behind them nicely, and they were ahead. And like that made me think, like I took it as like the goose was the devil and trying to like make me be alone and tell, you know, and then the swan was God, came in, and I saw what I don't have to be alone. You know, I had my wife, like I could have go to and just like, you know, get rid of that feeling. Mm-hmm. It just made me feel better. And nice. Like that, I was really like, I don't know. I just felt like it was a sign at that time.
Sure. Wow. It is kind of powerful. It's funny when you say it in the context of like a goose and a duck, and it's but you're right. Like they're little moments that can remind you of just how important different things are in your life, and how community is so important, and friendship.
I was just like, I could have ignored what was happening, you know, because like I was in my self-pity party. I was like, and like I said, it took me so long to get out of that self-pity party, and I was in that, and then I had the awareness to realize like, okay, this is like, you don't got to be alone. You
Yeah.
can do things
I think that's such a
with
powerful,
God, and yeah.
and who's around you too, right?
Yeah.
Like that is powerful. We talked about that a little last night too. Just man, so many great conversations at Chili's. But the idea that you are not alone, that not only is God with you, but think about like how important it is to have community. And I think that's what I'm excited about with this podcast. Like for us to have more just kind of hang out time, you know,
Yeah.
and to be able to talk and work through different things and how important relationships are and how important it is of the relationships you have with the people that are around you. I think we've said it multiple times through different episodes, just the idea of, you know, who your family is and who the people that are closest to you and how start there, you know, love and live in a way that just lifts up the people around you. And that's not easy to do because right how it's just so easy to be able to sit there and say like, I need this, like I'm going through it, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
you're there, you're just going through it. But then you are reminded like, oh, like I have people here to help me and lift me up. And I think that's really cool. So I like that. I think we should kind of remember that as we go forward, as we keep doing this. So cool. This was fun. I enjoyed being able to talk about it and just kind of have a little bit more of a free flowing conversation about what we're seeing and what we're dealing with as we go through things. So I guess this is going to be our new format now, right? As we kind of go through all of this.
Yeah,
we're
we'll
gonna
figure it out a little more.
so
as
we're adjusting in a way too. So if you've listened this far, you'll already have known that we posted on a Wednesday. But we're gonna
Yeah.
start moving to Wednesday posts.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of that midweek refresh, you know, if we need a little pick me up. And then we're gonna start to try and create different content too as well as we move through this. So
Yeah.
we're
all
excited about
growing work in progress. Like I said in the beginning, of rebirth
Yeah.
to the mustard seed.
exactly.
And yeah, you're gonna get to know us, and a lot
Hopefully we
more.
can get to know everyone else
Yeah.
as well. Like we're just to build a community. Like you know,
Mhm.
you mentioned
That's the
that.
main thing,
That's a
build it.
great thing to be able to build a community. You know, and it starts with our church. Let's build our church and let's continue to try and, you know, live in love. And it's the way we live that it can ultimately be that little thing that might, you know, make someone say, hey, you know, why are they like that? What is it that they do that's different? And hopefully we can try and inspire. And again, like as we're going through this, like let's learn together, you know, because that's I think a big thing too. Like we have no answers, but we're looking for answers and we're trying our best to kind of learn and understand and really grow in our faith as we move through this together. So I've already, I think just from a year of doing this, can already say how tremendous it's been for me as just like my faith.
Yeah, we did Bible in a year in a different way almost.
yeah. Yeah, right? We
Yeah.
did a little bit of a Bible in a year. So I think that's the other part of it too, like different things that we find that are out there and, you know, what we can try and make available and bring to light
Yeah.
and see where it goes. So
Um,
cool.
Yeah. Please like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate all of you who listen, watch. Everything will be in the link below of where you can reach us, find us.
Yeah. We'll be out there. So cool. Well, thanks for listening. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. Peace.